Hey guys, this is Attorney Walter Knott. We are going live a little bit earlier today, and normally we go live at 8 o'clock, or what I like to call around 8:15 p.m. is my 8 o'clock. I'm never really on time for anything. In fact, I have to show up to hearings about 30 minutes before the hearing, and then I end up showing at the time of the hearing. But that's how I usually work. Let's go into it real quick. This is specifically, and we're going to start this intro with, about the fourth stimulus check, UBI, what's going on, etc. While this is happening, of course, the dogs are running around by my feet. Now, we're going to be looking at, it looks like ABC 15 News, while Sweetie tries to dig through paperwork. Specifically, the title of this is a fifth stimulus check. Here's what we know. And this is by Chris Bernardo, WBFF staff, Tuesday, July 20th, 2021. So very, very recent. Now, also, there's a lot of rain and thunderstorm going on out there. So I just wanted to be very upfront with you. If we lose power, we might lose power to the big computer behind me, which doesn't matter because we're not using that. We might lose power to the little computer right here. If we lose internet, we're really stuck. However, I just want you to know, because I'm so prepared for this show, that I went ahead and pre-charged the computer. Forgot to plug in the other side of the thing. So we're only at 74% battery, but we are charging right now. So that's good. Excellent. Okay, let's go into it. The fourth stimulus. Baltimore, WBFF. Stimulus payments from the federal government have proven to be incredibly popular. They've also proven to be a lifeline for people in need during the coronavirus pandemic. The three payments for people in need were so far $1,200, $600, $1,400, as well as the additional tax rebates and extended deductions from President Joe Biden's relief package have put a lot of money into people's pockets. Now there's talk of a fourth and potentially fifth stimulus payment. The White House appears to be open to the idea. Okay, cool. But how open are they? That's really what we're answering here. Members of the House of Representatives Ways and Means Committee sent a letter to Biden talking about the possibility of two more checks. The representatives say these payments could keep as many as 12 million people out of poverty. So remember, the main goal here, guys, is to put funds aside to essentially be able to fund, right, people from starving, people from losing rental, people from losing their homes. That's the main focus here of what the federal government is, to keep people from basically becoming homeless or not being able to get food, etc. And remember, with the worth of the dollar going down significantly, because COLA is out of control right now, we might be seeing a cost of living adjustment all the way up to 6.5, or even 7%. There will be a video on that, I think, tomorrow. It's supposed to actually happen today right now, but we do the live today. While UI replaces lost income for those out of work, direct payments are crucial for supporting struggling families that fall out of its reach. This includes the millions of workers that do not qualify for UI after having their hours reduced, switching to lower paying jobs, or temporarily leaving the workforce to care for family members. I know a lot of people right now who had a career. They still have a career, but the career isn't paying what it needs to pay to go ahead and get them through what they need to do. As a result of that, a lot of these individuals have found a side gig. And the side gig, just so you know, there's a lot of side gigs out there that are paying right now. It starts out creeping into your schedule as a weekend gig, one day, maybe Saturday, maybe Sunday, and then it grows. You've got the full weekend, and then you're a couple more days into the week, and then slowly the career begins to erode. And there's a problem with that logical assessment, which is that ultimately you end up with people leaving the careers that they were originally within. And that's especially high for those types of careers that are within industries where you traditionally see people on a daily basis inside an office. And the problem is that their education background is usually directly linear with essentially their career path, right? Does that make sense? You get educated, you follow your career path, you're doing a job within that education, blah, blah, blah. But a lot of people are now having to find side gigs to kind of pay for that little bit extra. Usually the side gigs don't pay as much as what the original career did. However, with that said, I foresee a lot of hopping from thing to thing of a lot of people in the future, and that traditional tendency of individuals to have that one office job, that's going away. That's going away. We will never see it like that again because offices are becoming moot. They're becoming unimportant. They're becoming unrealistic. Why drive when a supercomputer right here? This is a supercomputer. Okay, you don't need it, which is why people's career paths are going to be altered heavily by this. Let's keep reading. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki was asked about the possibility of more stimulus payments at a news conference on June 3rd, 2021. Okay, so a little while ago. Here's the exchange. Question: on a fourth stimulus check idea that is supported by dozens of Democrats in Congress, I know a month ago you said stimulus checks aren't free. and it's really up to Congress to decide whether to move forward on that. I'm wondering at this point, does the president support that idea? Or does he believe that his American Jobs and Families Plan provide enough economic assistance so the fourth stimulus wouldn't be necessary? Ms. Psaki responded, well, I think as he said at the time, as I said at the time, and she always does that. I've seen her do a couple of these before. I should say, when you asked this before, the president is certainly open to a range of ideas that there are some who are proposing an elimination of the SALT deduction. Person responds, I think I said it the right way. Response, and there are some who are proposing making the child tax credit permanent. There are some who are proposing additional stimulus. He's happy to hear from a range of ideas on what would be most effective and what's most important to the economy moving forward, right? Classic Madame Jen. But he's also proposed what he thinks is going to be the most effective for the short term for putting people back to work, to getting through this pivotal period of time, and also to making us more competitive over the long term. All right, if you guys listen to what she's saying, all of the initial stuff that she was talking about, the cutesy, he's open, everything's wonderful, life is great, he's considering things are coming across his desk in the White House. It's worthless. The important stuff, and I see people are calling right now, I know, I can see the phone vibrating. Let me just get through this and then we'll go ahead and answer questions. And there are so let me go back to this. The only paragraph that's really important in all of this is the last one. But he's also proposed. Do you hear that language? Lawyers hear that language very easily. But he's also proposed. That means he's really thinking of the alternative, which is mostly infrastructure creation to boost people working. We're going to pay taxes, right? Because what happens when people don't pay taxes? The government runs out of money, which we're going to cover shortly. But he's also proposed. That language is important. But he's also proposed what he thinks. This is ownership. She's putting ownership in what President Biden wants. He thinks is going to be the most effective for the short term. Okay, so what she's saying here is we need an immediate result. We need a lightning bill that is going to essentially get people to go back to work. Because if you don't get Americans working, then we don't make our GDP marks of $22 trillion a year. And if we don't make it's a little less than that. If we don't make our $22 trillion marks a year, then the government doesn't have the money to spend on things that they want to, such as other nations, such as the military, social security benefits, such as immigration stuff. We're seeing a lot of that right now. So let's go through this again. Let's put our lawyer hat on. But he's also proposed. She's saying, but he's really pushing for this. What he thinks is going to be the most effective for the short term. So he's proposing right now what he believes is more effective than, right, a fourth stimulus or fifth stimulus or UBI. So Madame Jen Psaki is basically telling us he's heard the fourth stimulus. He's heard the fifth stimulus idea. But he does not believe that that is effective in getting what he wants, and what he wants is people back to work. But he's also proposed what he thinks is going to be the most effective for the short term for putting people back to work, to getting through this pivotal period of time, and also to making us more competitive over the long term. Now think about that. There's two things in that paragraph right there. Number one, she mentions short term, and then she mentions within the same sentence, so this was very prepared, and also to making us more competitive over the long term. So the goals are outlined in this one little paragraph. All the other junk is not good. This last paragraph where she makes her statements, that's where Jen Psaki tells us exactly specifically what, let me pop out the chat real quick. I always forget to do that because I can't see the chat when I do this unless I pop it out. So basically what's happening here is it's a situation. Okay, now I can see the chat. I couldn't see it before. So if you were writing in questions, I'm sorry, guys, I couldn't see it. So anyways, if you have further questions, let me get through this and then we'll go through them. So here's the bottom line. Jen Psaki is specifically saying President Biden has heard these suggestions for fourth stimulus. He believes in the short term that they are not positive for getting people back to work. Ergo, it appears from what she's saying that he has rejected them. In addition with that, she's saying for the short term, the most effective way of saving this country is to get people back to work through an infrastructure bill and a higher taxation bill. And then on top of that, she also states at the very end of that same paragraph, to getting through this pivotal period of time and also to making us more competitive over the long term. So what she's saying is, we have a problem as a country. And the problem inherent with the country is that we have to basically pour starting fluid into this engine. We need to overcharge our lithium batteries to try and get people back to working as much as they can, ergo paying for their different taxes, ergo getting them rolling in the right direction. And here's why. There's a negative here for people retiring by how they calculate what their retirement will be based upon the big little drop we had in 2019, 2020, 21. And the government is probably going to come back and just, even out the slope. They're not going to allow this for retirement people, right? They're going to even out the slope. But all that costs money. And having to spend money on the people isn't always a popular thing in politics. It should be the most popular thing, but it's not always the most popular thing. Let's read that paragraph one more time, then we're going to go into the next section of this. But he's also proposed what he thinks. So she's in reference to the fourth stimulus, but he's also proposed what he thinks is going to be the most effective for the short term. So he doesn't believe in a fourth stimulus. He does believe in a short-term effective plan on infrastructure for putting people back to work. His whole agenda here is getting people to work so that they can pay taxes. To getting through this pivotal period of time, right? We're going through COVID. COVID's not fun. And also to making us more competitive over the long term. We have to be competitive against other nations, make lots of money. And if we make lots of money, the government can spend lots of money to go ahead and build our military, work on our social security, etc. So the bottom line is, what they're saying here is that right now, the president isn't really interested in a fourth stimulus. That's what she's saying. She's saying he's open, and they always do that. They always hedge. People want the president to be open to a fourth stimulus. I want a fourth stimulus. You guys want a fourth stimulus. I never got the $1,200 check. I never got the $600 check. I never got the $1,400 check. People are open to a fourth stimulus. And I'm open to another round of PPPs to help pay for the payroll for the law firm. I think what would be smarter than what I'm seeing in a lot of the infrastructure bill is better PPPs. A lot of things that help companies continue to hire back those individuals that they lost throughout this process. And if anybody comes to you and says, hey, here's the thing, we did better during COVID. Well, that's usually a specific niche company or a mega company that was open and already scaled for a situation where people are home. Otherwise, every other corporation has pretty much gone out of business or has reduced staff or has reduced hours, etc. And that's not even bringing in a lot of the violence that's going on right there when it comes to theft. All right, so that intro was all from specifically ABC 15 News. 2 days ago, fourth stimulus check, a fifth stimulus check. Here's what we know. Chris Bernato. Now, let's go over to the letter that they were referencing specifically in that agreement there, okay? Real quick. Congress of the United States, Washington, D.C. So on May 17th, 2021, a bunch of individuals, let's see if it's on here. Yeah. I always love how they do that with their signatures all attached to it. But a bunch of individuals sent a letter to Congress. And the whole point of this is that essentially they were pushing a particular agenda pertaining to these checks. May 17th, not that long ago, let's talk about it. Dear President Biden, thank you for your steadfast and decisive leadership during the ongoing public health and economic crisis. The American Rescue Plan, ARP, has provided much-needed relief to millions of Americans. Direct payments and enhanced unemployment insurance, UI, in particular, have served as lifelines to families of workers that have had their lives upended by the pandemic. So a little bit of schmoozy there, right? A little bit of we're going to butter the bread, and then we're going to go ahead and hit the president with some tough choices. As we continue to build back better, that's good, throwing it in, right? There's the logo. It is imperative that we work to ensure this critical relief remains available when they need it most, okay? Now, they haven't hit them with the hard stuff yet. Usually the first paragraph to somebody in an executive position is the popcorn paragraph. You put it in front of them, you put a movie on, you put the feet up, you let them relax. And now we hit them with the hard stuff. In the American Families Plan, you pledged to work with Congress. Hey, you pledged, you promised, right? Now they're going to go ahead and lay it in. To work with Congress to automatically adjust the length and amount of UI benefits unemployed workers receive depending on economic conditions. We welcome this opportunity, but urge you to prioritize both automatic UI extensions, that's that unemployment for people who stop working and they get their weekly yada yada, and recurring direct payments tied to economic conditions, direct payments, stimulus money, etc. The pandemic has served as a stark reminder that families and workers need certainty in a crisis. Okay, that's an important sentence there. Let's read it again. The pandemic has served as a stark reminder. So this really bad thing reminds us very vividly that families and workers need certainty in a crisis. What they're selling to the president here, and the rest of the, and remember, turn on your lawyer hat, or rather put on your lawyer hat, turn on your lawyer brain. What they're selling here is certainty. Certainty. What they're selling here is certainty for future votes. That's what they're saying here. Watch it again. We're going to turn on our lawyer brain, put on our lawyer hat. The pandemic has served as a stark reminder that families and workers need certainty in a crisis. Certainty, like stability, like safety. Okay, all these things. I know you guys are calling. I will pick up. I'm just going to try and get to 8 o'clock, and then I'll start doing the phone calls. So what they're saying is certainty. They're trying to sell on the president the likelihood of future votes for the Democratic Party. Howdy, guys. Garden, by the way, catch up with me at some point. We're actually, Garden, after I finish the updates on UBI and fourth stimulus, you're my first person. So just a heads up. With that said, what I need you to understand is this. When it comes to this whole thing, that sentence is probably the most important sentence in this. They're baiting Biden, President Biden. They're saying, President Biden, do you want the people to have certainty in the form of financial stability, in the form of medical safety? Do you want them to have stability? Do you want them to have certainty in this crisis? That's smart. Look, these people writing these letters, you obviously have highly intellectual capacity based, legislators that are writing these letters, but that is brilliant. Let me read it again to you because it's important. The pandemic has served as a stark reminder that families and workers need certainty in a crisis. They're selling them on votes. That's future votes for the Democrats. That's what that is. It's a brilliant sentence. They deserve to know they can put food on the table. Now they're going to hit it home, right? Food on the table and keep a roof over their heads. Stability, certainty, food, shelter. Next thing. They should not be at the mercy of constantly shifting legislative timelines and ad hoc solutions. Oh, that's an important sentence. It's not an important sentence for the American people because American people listen to that. They go, oh, this is political legalese. Let me read it again. They should not be at the mercy of constantly shifting legislative timelines and ad hoc solutions. That right there was the UBI statement. Think about it. What are they saying? They should not be at the mercy of, right? So we got that. They shouldn't be fearful of all these timelines ending and this thing shifting and that thing shifting. That's not what this is. They're not pushing that. What they're pushing is timelines and ad hoc solutions are bad. So what they're saying is they want something that's concrete and long-term, which is, as you know, UBI. That's what UBI is. That's what they're pushing there. Next thing, direct payments and enhanced UI are among the most effective, because remember, part of that is if you have direct payments and continuous UI, what you have there is essentially a form of UBI, are among the most effective forms of relief available, right? It's simple economics. You inject money into the people and the people spend the money, right? Poor people especially spend it. Some of the people, don't need the, stimulus as much. They put into savings, but still, that's important. People putting this money into savings are still, going back to this other sentence, feeling certainty in a crisis. And that certainty equates to stability because they have extra money. Direct payments and enhanced UI are among the most effective forms of relief available. Not only do they help keep families and workers out of poverty, right? So they're selling basically workers and poor, middle class, lower income individuals, and then basically impoverished or chronically homeless included. They act as an economic stimulus by increasing spending and supporting jobs. When the CARES Act relief checks ran out, now they're going to dig in. This is where they put their heels in. When the CARES Act relief checks ran out, poverty rose and many families and workers experienced spiraling debt. Yeah, because they're going to take on debt because they don't have the same jobs that they normally do. And finding gigs is tough right now. Cool. Let's keep going. Automatic stabilizers, UBI. They don't say that here, but that's what they're hinting at. Automatic stabilizers, because what is UBI? It's an automatic stabilizer. That's the perfect definition of what a UBI check is. Universal Basic Income. If you guys don't know what that is, I'm sure you do. Automatic stabilizers will give families and workers certainty that relief is coming. All right, now we talked about, I'm going to highlight this real quick. Remember, we're putting our lawyer brains on. We're putting our lawyer hats on. Here's what they keep pumping through this. Certainty and certainty equates to votes. Again, certainty and certainty equates to votes. That's the bottom line. They're saying if you don't fund these people, you are not going to have happy people because they don't live in certainty. They are not stable and they're not going to be happy and they're going to vote against you. So they're saying if you want people to stick around, you better give them a form of UBI via stability, right? Which equates to certainty. Families and workers shouldn't have to worry about whether they'll have enough money to pay for essentials in the month ahead as the country continues to fight a global pandemic and recession. Now, here's the thing. These are highly intellectual people, but all they did here was they took this entire sentence right here and they copied the exact same thing and just said it with slightly different wording. So they doubled up on it. I don't think that that was wise. I didn't think that they needed to make that message twice. Look, President Biden has a very, very good education. President Biden has been in, politics for a very long time. He can read through these documents without having to have the repetitive thing twice. So in my opinion, they were hammering for a purpose. But the problem is it is repetition, and their audience here specifically is the president. Or is it? No. When they publish an article like this, the audience is the American people through the news stations that produce this article on their websites. So why do they repeat it? They didn't repeat it for President Biden. If this was just President Biden, it had nothing to do with us, it would have been half the size of this entire article. It would have not included all that stuff. But they're duplicating sentence 1 and the follow-up sentence there and here again because they're saying this to the American people, which that basically these guys are advertising. That's what these individuals equate to. They're advertising through this letter. This is a political trick. Okay, it's not a bad one though, and their message isn't bad. It's just you got to be aware that at the end of the day, what they're getting at here is they're duplicating phrasing. I'll read it again. Automatic stabilizers will give families and workers certainty that relief is coming. Cool. So we hit home again. UBI, stabilizers equals certainty. The prior sentence that they used that was, the pandemic has served as a stark reminder that families and workers need certainty in a crisis. Pretty much the exact same sentence, slight variations. Now we go to the second sentence. Families and workers shouldn't have to worry about whether they'll have enough money to pay for essentials in the months ahead as the country continues to fight a global pandemic and recession. Cool. Sentence from above, they deserve to know they can put food on the table and keep a roof over their heads. They should not be at the mercy of constantly shifting legislative timelines and ad hoc solutions. The exact same thing, they just repeated it a paragraph later. That's because this letter is telling us that this was not just written for President Biden. It was more so written for you, so that not only will you go ahead and vote for these people, but that they are also warning President Biden that this is what the people want. Let's continue. 2/3 of adults reported that the third stimulus check was important to their financial well-being, but nearly as many, 6 in 10, reported that the checks will last less than 3 months, right? Because it wasn't a ton of money. It wasn't a lot of money, which is virtually unchanged from January. Most people spent relief checks on monthly expenses or essentials such as food, utilities, rent, and mortgage payments. Makes sense, right? You get the money, you put it into something that you're going to be using. A lot of people don't have excess money right now. In fact, this COVID crisis is going to equate to, for most people, retirement benefits being the only form of retirement benefits that they'll be receiving on a monthly basis. So what do I mean by that? What I mean is COVID is creating a situation where retirement benefits were only supposed to be part of what you retire with, Not anymore. The future of this is, because of COVID, retirement benefits are going to be the main thing that people have to rely on in total for their retirement. Let's keep reading. Families and workers. All right, so we got past that one. Next one. All right, most people, the two forms of payments also work in tandem. So now we're talking about these two forms of stimulus and combining them because they help people get up the road more easily. While UI replaces lost income for those out of work, direct payments are crucial for supporting struggling families that fall out of its reach. This includes the millions of workers that do not qualify for UI after having their hours reduced, switching to lower paying jobs, or temporarily leaving the workforce to care for family members. The ARP's $1,400 checks alone will keep 11 million people out of poverty this year, with UI expansion and other provisions in the bill accounting for another 5 million. So now they're getting flashy. Now they're throwing the statistics of how many individuals are likely to succeed through the pandemic, to continue through the pandemic without going into extreme poverty. So now they're starting to throw the statistics at them. The first paragraph was, we're going to butter you up. The second paragraph was general oversight of ideas and, or overview of ideas that we want to go into. The third paragraph was hitting home and saying, this is what we need. And the fourth paragraph is all about the specifics in the statistics. Here we go. A fourth and fifth check could keep an additional 12 million out of poverty, combined with, we're almost getting to the end of this letter, effects of the ARP. Direct payments could reduce the number in poverty in 2021 from 44 million to 16 million. That's a lot of Americans. I know when you're thinking, well, is that so much? The whole nation. That's a lot of Americans. Don't think that's a small number. That's a big number. Recurring direct payments have wide support. Remember that. Did you hear that? Did you hear what they said there? Recurring direct payments. That is UBI. Recurring direct payments, okay? Recurring direct payments have wide support from both the general public and economic experts. You know why? Because recurring direct payments, everybody thinks that they're like $10 trillion and $20 trillion. They're actually not that expensive. The American people, as far as costs of all the other costs that are going on with the United States, the American people are expensive, but they're not that expensive compared to some of the other things that we actually spend money on. Kind of crazy, right? So recurring direct payments, considering with the trillions floating around, obviously it is expensive. It is trillions, but it's not like mind-blowingly impossible. Recurring direct payments have wide support from both the general public and the economic experts. Polling shows 65% of Americans support recurring cash payments for the duration of the pandemic. 65% only? I feel that most people would want that. Yes, you have a percentage of individuals that are worried about the long term. How are we going to pay for this, right? You're always going to have them, but I don't think that's 35% of Americans. This includes support from 54% of Republicans and 60% of independents. So obviously this is going to get a lot of support from Democrats, a little bit of support from the, the gray area in the middle, and then 54%, just over half, from the Republicans. Okay, those are not bad numbers. That's co-sponsor time. Okay, economists support the idea too. More than 150 economists recently wrote an open letter supporting automatic stabilizers as part of a strong recovery and warning against repeating the mistakes of the Great Recession, when an insufficient response led to unnecessary suffering, particularly among the low-income workers. Think about what they're saying there. This paragraph right here, the whole point of that is it's a shaming paragraph. A shaming paragraph that Scotia R, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I really appreciate that. Towards the date night for you, positively shine. Yeah, guys, a real quick notate. If you get a chance and you're watching this channel, there is a better channel. It's called Positively Cheyenne. Go subscribe. It's incredible. She's very upbeat. It's amazing. You need to go check it out. It's just absolutely awesome. It's common sense, uplifting stuff. I tend to be a little bit of a Debbie Downer because I'm an attorney that goes through things in minutia, but big picture stuff, go subscribe, Positively Cheyenne. Okay, guys? Now, what they're doing with this paragraph right here is they're saying the economists, the academics, the luminaries of brilliance, of intellectual height and hypercapacity, even they say you should be doing this. In fact, They did an analysis, and the analysis showed that basically, let's call it like it is, the Great Recession shouldn't have been as bad as it was. It shouldn't have been a Great Recession. It should have just been a good recession, right? Had they funded the people more. There would have been less suffering with the Great Depression if we had funded the people more and just created a good recession, right? That's what they're doing there. That's a shaming paragraph. Now look at where it is. It is the final paragraph before the conclusion paragraph. That's important. Remember that. When you build these things out, that is important, okay? That means they're shaming. They're putting oh, wow, they got good points here right before the end of the conclusion paragraph. Gene Stadelmeyer, thank you. I really appreciate it. $4.99, that's incredible. Guys, I really appreciate all these donations. A lot of the donations go to feeding the dogs, basically treats, so that they actually don't attack me during this session, because that's one of the problems with these guys is that they're always super aggressive. When they see me going live, they're like, I want to be part of it. Although Shadow's asleep right now, but he's had a little food coma going on, so he's doing well though. Now let's do the final paragraph. This is the closing paragraph, the closing argument, if you will. We're putting our attorney hats on. Here we go. In your joint address to Congress, this is where they're pushing President Biden, and they're pushing their fingers specifically through the suit so that they can feel him. In your joint address to Congress, what you said, right? You laid out a vision to turn crisis into opportunity. That was an interesting phrasing there. You laid out, you put the tracks out, a vision, here's your idea, to turn crisis into opportunity, to make lemonade from essentially COVID. Although they worded it better than that. When you worded it my way, it was terrible. I probably said lemonade because of the color of the shirt. Tying recurring direct payments and automatic UI extensions to economic conditions would do just that. So they're saying, we support UBI for the length of COVID, right? I don't know if you heard that there. Tying recurring direct payments, your UBI, and automatic UI extensions to economic conditions, right? So basically COVID. Maybe a little bit after COVID, but the economic downfall that came from COVID and maybe a little bit after. Tying them to economic conditions would do just that. We urge you to include both in the American Families Plan and are ready to work with We urge you to include both in the American Families Plan and are ready to work with, enact this critical relief into law. Work with, enact. I don't know. I think they screwed up the last sentence there. And are ready to work with, enact this critical. I don't know. They made an error here. Just the sentence reads as following. We urge you to include both in the American Families Plan and are ready to work with, enact this critical. I don't know. Maybe the printer cut it off. Maybe there's supposed to be a comma or something there. Thank you, Mike. I really appreciate it. Mike just donated $4.99. I really appreciate it. I do see you guys calling. Let me just finish this up real quick, and then we should. Whoa. All right, guys. So you guys are fine. I'm not sure what just happened there. But we're still live. Are we still live? I think we're still live. I don't know if you guys saw that, but that might have hit my dog. I'm not sure what just happened there. I'm not doing anything about it right now, though, because, what am I going to do? It's just, wow. Okay. So, anyways, God, I'm even whiter right now. You didn't think it was possible, right? See-through skin. I got whiter. So, anyways, bottom line is, yes, I will pick up the phone. Let me just finish this real quick. I think they made an error with their last sentence. We urge you to include both the American Families Plan and are ready to work with, enact this critical relief into law. I think what they were supposed to say there, Ruthie Beretta, just feeding the dogs. Good. Give them treats. I think what they were trying to say there is, we are ready to enact a law and push it through. We are ready to give you our votes. That's what they're saying. The last paragraph, the conclusion, is where they're baiting him. They're saying, President Biden, we will give you our votes, but we want to see a form of UBI and we want to see more unemployment options. Reemployment is what we call in Florida. They're baiting him. This, other than the last sentence, which didn't work out totally, but this is master level writing. This is good stuff. Like you think like, these congressional people, they do this, they do this. No. When they wrote this letter, they knew exactly what they were doing. They knew exactly who their real audience was, which is you. They knew exactly what their position was, which is essentially to push agendas that people are going to want. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, What happens after Biden? Oh, hi. I know it was scary. Okay, all right. I'm aware. Oh, okay, all right. What they're saying is somebody got a little scared. Little chubby piggy. All right, Judy, come on. There you go. All right, good girl. What that means is this. They're saying here, if you guys don't push forward with the White House, these agendas that the economists support, that the legislators support, that the Republicans, the Democrats, the independents, that the people support, there's another lightning bolt, then here's the deal. At the end of the day, these people want to be considered for president. Yeah, I don't know if you can hear the lightning, but it is friggin' extreme out there. I don't even know what's happened, if it hit something or I don't know, maybe it hit a boat or something. I'm not even sure, but that lightning bolt literally knocked the socks off of everything. I'm going to plug in the laptop for a little bit, but we might have to end the show early. I don't want to, but I'm just telling you guys, I live on an island, so we might lose internet. All right. All right, guys. So here's the deal. We have Sweetie climbing. We've gone through the basics of that. Now, I want to talk to you. She's a little sad. She's a little scared. She's a puppy, but she's too big to be considered a puppy. Okay, come here. All right. So, guys, here's the deal. And then Garden, I'm going to be done in about like 5 minutes. Just shoot me a text and say like Garden, and then here's my number. That way I've got it. That way I know to go to that one. U.S. government could run out of cash this fall, October, unless the debt ceiling is lifted. Okay? What does that mean? I've got a dog here that's super freaking out. I'm going to try and lead her over here real quick. Come on. Come on, sweetie pie. There you go. Come on. There you go. Good job. Okay. This is a scary document. I saw this and I got worried. What they're saying is that we have a choice, guys. It is very expensive to go ahead and fund all this stuff. And yeah, you guys can call me tomorrow. That's what they're saying here is this. It's very expensive to do all this funding. I mean, they funded a lot of different people and stuff like that. But the bottom line, it's very expensive. Let's talk about the problem that is really bad here. While they were creating these acts and these bills, they were watching a clock and an account. And the account said we're getting low, and the clock said we're getting near. Let's read it real quick. Washington. And remember, this was Paul Kiernan, specifically from Wall Street Journal. He created it, updated July 21st, 2021, so like yesterday, at 2:59 p.m. So this is like news that was yesterday. Washington. The federal government will most likely run out of cash to pay its bills in October or November unless Congress increases or suspends the federal borrowing limit. All right. Now, what they said there were two big words. We can either increase the federal borrowing limit, right? So we can borrow more money to pay for stuff due to COVID. Although they just keep increasing it anyways without COVID. Or, and this is important, they can go ahead and suspend the federal borrowing limit. Do we really want to allow the federal government to do that? And yes, I see people calling, I know. Do we really want the federal government to go into Caesar of Rome crisis mode and suspend essentially what it equates to as our borrowing limit? And what this equates to is how much money are our future generations going to pay back? Because this borrowing limit is just like a student loan. We're just paying off debt. And we are pretty much at that point where the cost of the cost of the amount that we have to pay back on top of what we just have to pay, right? The percentage that we have to worry about, like our APRs and stuff like that, that amount is becoming what our payment is actually capable of per year, which means that we're getting to a point where we can't actually afford to pay this thing off because we can only afford to pay for basically, the interest payments. That's where we're getting. Just a scary thought there, but think about it. All right, so here we go. Congress, so let's go through this. Bottom line is this. Federal government will most likely run out of cash to pay its bills October, November, yada, yada, suspend. We have the option of increasing or suspending the federal borrowing limit. The Congressional Budget Office said Wednesday. Cool. Congress voted in 2019 to suspend the debt ceiling until July 31st of this year. Since then, the nation has added $6.5 trillion in debt, bringing the total amount owed to $28.5 trillion. Now, realistically, that number is probably not accurate. It's probably significantly higher than $28.5 trillion. If lawmakers can't reach another agreement before the end of the month, the borrowing limit would automatically be reinstated at that level, and the Treasury wouldn't be able to raise additional cash from the sale of government securities. So we're selling assets. You know, a lot of companies are selling things right now to go ahead and keep their head above water, right? They're selling their extra this, they're selling their extra that. You know, I've been holding on this for a while. I guess I should sell it. I don't have enough money. Well, the government is doing the exact same thing. They're selling government securities. If it can't raise new cash, and that's a lot of cash that they need, the Treasury has said that it would take extraordinary measures to keep paying the government's bills in full and on time, as it has in the past. Those measures, such as redeeming certain investments in federal pension programs and suspending new investments in those programs, have previously freed up enough cash to last several. Oh, I don't have the additional page here. No, I lost the additional page. All right, well, the bottom line here is very simple. The point of it is we have to vote to allow ourselves to spend more money. But if we spend more money, we're not going to be able to make the interest payments. If we can't make the interest payments, then something magical is going to have to occur, which is we're just going to have to magically forgive our own debt or something else, right? That's kind of the bottom line here. All right. With that said, I wanted to cover one more thing. There is a vote going on for the current setup of the bipartisan infrastructure bill. It's not really bipartisan. Now, I want to read this sentence on this. It's from CNN Politics. Okay, CNN Politics came out with this on 4:23 p.m., July 21st, 2021. So yesterday, right? So they came out with this yesterday. Alex Rogers and Manu Raju, CNN. Republicans block vote, right? Republicans block vote on bipartisan infrastructure bill pushing for more. Now, can I ask you something? If the Republicans were blocking the vote on this, then why are we calling it a bipartisan infrastructure bill? It's obviously not bipartisan, right? Because if they're blocking it, then essentially it's not bipartisan, because it's one of these things where you've really got to have both parties sitting down together and agreeing and wanting to push this through. You get to use the word bipartisan when essentially everybody comes together, you got a bunch of co-sponsors on both sides, and it's going to go through. You don't get to use bipartisan when it's going to be blocked. All right, so let's read through this. CNN, Senate Republicans blocked a vote Wednesday to start debate on a $1.2 trillion bipartisan infrastructure bill as they push for more time to strike a deal with Democrats to write the legislation. The vote was 49 to 51. Woo, that's close. That's close. Short of the 60 votes needed to advance the measure. Well, I mean, it's not that close. The lawmakers said their negotiations will intensify over the next few days with the goal of trying again to advance the measure by early next week. So if you're just going to keep shoving the same bill at the Republicans, there's probably not going to be a change. But they're going to try. A group of 22 Democrats and Republican senators said after the vote that they are close to a final agreement. Cool. And are optimistic that we will finalize and be prepared to advance this historic bipartisan proposal to strengthen America's infrastructure and create good-paying jobs in the coming days. Awesome. Cool. But you notice that it's all about jobs. All about jobs. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer defended his decision to set the vote despite Republican opposition, pointing out that the bipartisan group has spent more than a month negotiating. He said Wednesday that bipartisan negotiators are close to finalizing their product, and the GOP senators should feel comfortable voting to move forward today. That we know is probably inaccurate, because realistically, the Republicans could change their stance, or the Democrats could push more things with the bipartisan groups to go ahead and, and now remember something here. Why do we need a bipartisan negotiator? Why can't we just have these two groups negotiate? We have to have a mediator now? It's like we're just adding more pieces to a puzzle to bump up the cost. But if it helps, okay, here we go. Because it could potentially help the American people get to where we need to be. We all want the same thing here, to pass a bipartisan infrastructure bill, said Schumer. But in order to finish the bill, we first need to start. Kind of confusing language there. Let me read it again. All right, we all want the same thing here. So everybody's on the same table, but apparently, obviously, they're not because they just shot this thing down. To pass a bipartisan infrastructure bill, right? It's not a bipartisan bill if people are still shooting it down. But he's using all this language of we want the same thing and it's bipartisan, even though it's obviously not those two things. Said Schumer. But in order to finish the bill, we first need to start. Well, if you guys first need to start, then why have you been spending all this time working on this and not delivering? That's what comes to my brain, right? Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell said the push to advance the bill was a stunt that is set to fail because negotiators have not finalized an agreement. Yeah, this was a stunt. It was a stunt because at the end of the day, unfortunately, they all knew it wasn't going to pass. And if the Democrats can show that the Republicans aren't playing ball, then it makes the Republicans look bad. It makes the Democrats look like they're trying and the Republicans are not. It's a stunt. Around here, we typically write the bills before we vote on them. The Kentucky Republicans said on the Senate floor, that's the custom. So basically, the bill wasn't even written. It wasn't even ready. It wasn't even done. And they're trying to vote on this thing. It's kind of weird. All right, so that's, it goes into more than that. But the bottom line is that's kind of the general structure of it. Now, it is 8:23. We are going to be answering questions for people who call in. First and foremost, I have to speak with one individual who I'm hoping texted me real quick. Let me see if I can find it real quick. This is specifically for Garden. Cool. Right here. All right, we're going to call this person real quick. I'm going to get them on the phone. We're going to answer questions. We'll answer questions for a little bit. I still have to see what's going on with the storm, though, but we'll see. Hi, can you hear me okay? Perfect. I'm going to put you on the speakerphone. Remember, use a fake name. And would you like to ask me a question, or would you like me to run hearing questions with you? Okay, perfect. Remember to go ahead and mute your computer, because what happens is I can hear me in the background, as can everybody else. So just go ahead and mute that computer, and then we should be able to go ahead and begin with your question. And I am ready whenever you are for that question.
Okay, my mom left me a house in a will, so what do I do with that? Because I'm on disability.
So SSI or SSDI?
Both.
All right, so you're a hybrid allowance. It's going to hurt the SSI benefits, obviously. Do you already own a house or no?
No.
Oh, well, then why don't you move into it?
Because I was, it's a long story. I was abused there, and it's not a good situation. And I live in Florida.
Okay, understood. You've got a couple options. You can go ahead and sell it and then basically hold on to the funds and just go with the SSDI option. It'll hurt you for 1 month, but it won't hurt you the other months. It will remove SSI during that period where you will not be eligible. You could go ahead and basically withdraw from essentially being able to take it. But keep in mind, if you do that, you don't get to direct what happens to it. You have to do it, I think, within like 9 months or something. And you have to create like a legal document that you submit to the court that says you're revoking your right to go ahead and take it in total, like, all of it with the house. And then basically it'll go through, either what's next on the will, whoever was supposed to get it if you didn't want to take it. And if that wasn't written out, then it'll be an intestate kind of situation to figure out what happens next. So, bottom line is, and then you've also got another option. I'm not sure if it can be put into an able account situation, or the sale of it could maybe be put into an able account. But that's something to look into. I'd have to think about that more. Another option is that basically you could go ahead and keep the home and rent the home out and get additional funds that way, but only if the home would make enough money to be more than your disability benefits. But then you'd also have to consider the loss of your health insurance because you're SSDI, so you're getting Medicare too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so your Medicare is almost certainly with your disability benefits likely to be more than what you could rent that house for. If it were me, I would look at how much the house is worth. How much is the house worth?
I have no idea.
Well, okay, so I would look at that, and then I would look at the potential of selling it, losing my SSI benefits during that period of time, and then basically keeping my SSDI benefits for the month after I sell it and retain the funds. And then basically, putting those into maybe an ABLE account, and then trying to get back onto some sort of hybrid allowance with SSDI and SSI benefits.
I already have an ABLE account.
Okay, so, I'm not sure. And keep in mind, you may not be able to put the funds into that account. It depends on how it was set up, but that's something to consider. I would look into that. I don't set up ABLE trust fund accounts. I don't set up disabled trusts, but I should learn how to do that and just show you guys how to do that. That way you've got a better idea, because that's something that a lot of people should be taking advantage of that they're just not.
Okay.
So
Or
yeah,
could I?
yeah, go ahead.
Or could I just do it and put it in a special needs trust, or no?
You could. I mean, the bottom line is you can keep one house and not have it affect you, because you're allowed one house. You get into some issues there when they look at, well, you have two dwellings, which is basically where you're living in that house. Another thing that I just want to throw out there too is that even if you were abused at that house, some people, when the house is redone, different colors, different furniture, different everything, it no longer affects them in the same way. You may be like that, you might not be like that. So that's something to look into as well,
And then I have to do it with the lawyer with that state, right?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know what state you're in, but yeah, you'd want to get somebody specifically for that state.
I'm in Florida. The house is in Connecticut.
You're in Connecticut? Okay.
No. I'm in Florida. The house is in Connecticut.
Oh, okay. Got you. So you don't want to move to Connecticut is what you're saying.
No.
I gotcha. And if it's in Connecticut, it's probably worth a lot of money because it's Connecticut. Scotia R, thank you so much for the $9.99 donation. I really appreciate it. And I see flowers. There you go. Excellent. So yeah, I would look for basically a wills, trust, and estates attorney that can look into this option for potential sale, and then put it into some sort of, and I don't know what it's worth, but yeah, you can only put $1,500 a year in Able, which is Catherine Blair. She said that. The point here is this: we don't know what the house is worth. We don't know how many months of SSI you're willing to potentially give up. We don't know how many months of SSI you could potentially save because we don't have the factual pattern here, the fact pattern rather of what everything's worth. But you got to look at a sale, a retain and live there, a retain and not live there, what happens with your SSI, and all that stuff. And remember, going without SSDI and SSI benefits for a single month, that's not good. And you are a hybrid allowance, which means you're probably receiving around $800 to $900 a month. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that the bottom line is, you got to be careful, because if you lose $800, $900 a month while you're waiting for something bigger to come in, that's a big deal for you. So
should I just do a disclaimer then?
It's up to you. I mean, it's up to you. I would call Will's Trust and Estates attorney to check in with them and see what you can do with the house. But if this house is worth $100, yeah, go ahead.
You mean call an estate attorney in Connecticut?
Let me ask you this: what would your SSDI benefits be? No, I mean, yeah, Will's Trust and Estates attorney in Connecticut and also Florida. I check with both, but let me ask you this: what would your SSDI benefits be if you didn't have the SSI hybrid allowance?
Much lower.
Like 200, 300 lower, or like 700 lower?
Like a lot lower.
Like you're only getting 200, 300 a month, or like that's something to consider. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That comes down to you, because you probably can't make it work on the SSDI benefits alone, which means that if you get a chunk of money, look, you can always sell it and buy a place down in Florida. All right. Well, you can't tell me the address of it, but can you give me a ballpark as to what you think it might be worth? Have you Zillowed it? Have you looked at that?
Nope.
The amount of preparation that you brought me is extensive. So,
I'm sorry. I have brain injury, so I don't really know how to do all this.
I gotcha. Look, if we're looking at a house that's worth $100,000, you're in a seller's right now. You could sell it on the SSI, take the funds, buy a place in Florida, and then go right on back and keep your SSDI and SSI. It's an option. But the bottom line is this, and I need you really to think about it. You got to find out what that place is worth, because at the end of the day, you just don't know,
Right.
But things are selling right now, but that's not where they're usually selling. You have a house where everybody's moving from there to California or Texas. So kind of the bottom line here is you might want to call, well, what do you think the house is worth? And they'll give you a really low, crappy number, but then that's the real low, crappy number.
Call who? I'm sorry, I didn't get that part.
Like a realtor.
Okay.
Yeah, see what they say, because they'll whip a price right out of their pocket and say, the county it's in, the town it's in. Call one of the realtors and say, hey, what do you think this house is worth? I'm thinking about potentially selling it.
Okay.
All right. Perfect, madam. I will catch you later. I'm going to take the next call and keep rolling.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Have a wonderful night. Bye-bye. Okay, guys, we're going to go on to the next person here. Let me check real quick. Hold on. Okay, let me just see what this says here. All right, we're going to call this next person right here, and we'll get them on the phone. You guys know how this works. And then we go ahead and put them on the speakerphone, and then you should be good to go. All right, let's see what we can get. Hi, this is Attorney Walter Knott. We are live on YouTube. Right now, just keep in mind a couple of things. I can either answer a question for you, or I can run hearing questions with you. Remember to use a fake name throughout this process. I've also got another person calling in. I can't get off that screen yet. But with that said, while we wait for this other call I guess I could just decline this call. Hold on, decline. Here we go. I'm putting you on speakerphone. Would you like me to answer a specific question or run hearing questions with you?
Yes. What an honor to be able to talk to you.
Okay.
My name is Marie.
Okay.
And I am a breast cancer survivor.
Okay.
And I applied for Social Security. They approved me for SSDI. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
However, the cost of living is being a mother with a child. What they pay me is not enough. Okay. So I called Social Security last year and asked him if I can work part-time.
Uh-huh.
They told me, yes, you can work part-time. Okay. However, you cannot make whatever they allowed you to make every year. Like for this year, I think it's $13.10.
Mm-hmm.
But on the website, it shows that you're supposed to they talking about something like trial work that is 9 months.
Mm-hmm.
But I always work and I always make less of what they consider like a trial work, which is $9.40
Mm-hmm.
a month.
Yeah.
Now, are they able, if you keep yourself lower than $9.40, whatever the trial work is, are they able to take away your benefit?
No, they just do a reduction of benefits. So for like a trial work period, what they usually do for the SSI claimants is they'll go ahead and so there's a $65 rule and a $20 rule. And the $65 rule and the $20 rule get combined. So basically you can earn up to essentially $85 a month and it doesn't count. It doesn't hurt you. But anything over that, every $2 over that, they take away $1 from your benefits. So keep in mind, they'll just reduce your benefits for those months that you're working that amount. The system is set up to carrot people off of disability benefits. That's the whole point. If you're earning a really small amount, they might just tag you a little bit. If you're earning a larger amount, then you got 9 months trial work period. You can try it out, see if you can make it happen. If you're going long term, you're going 5 years plus, then you're looking at a ticket to work program gig where you can keep your benefits and also your work stuff. It's all a carrot system. It's all a carrot system to get you off of disability benefits. The government does not want to have to pay for you. The government wants you to go back to work. So they give you really good programs to get you to be incentivized to go back to work.
Okay. So if I work like part-time, that is no guarantee hour every month. So meaning that I keep working, let's say for 5 years, okay, whatever they're allowed to make, they can possibly, not now, but in the future, take the disability away.
So wait. Sorry, I didn't catch that there. So you're saying that you want to work, and how much do you want to work and earn?
No.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I work part-time, and I am in a work where is no minimal guarantee hour
Right,
monthly.
so it goes up and down.
Meaning that this week I can make 10 hours, and they not call me for another, I don't know, like another 2 or 3 weeks. You know what I mean?
So 2 to 3 weeks you could not be working, is what you're saying.
What I'm saying is working as the type of work I work in.
Yeah.
Okay, as a substitute teacher. So they only call me. They only work only when me.
Okay, I got you. So basically, it's a gig where you never know how many hours it's going to be. You never know what days it's going to be. And you're happy to get a call because you get to go in there and basically substitute for a teacher. And it's a little extra cash in your pocket kind of gig, right?
Yeah, yes.
All right. So the bottom line is this. You got to watch out for whether or not you want to use up your trial work period days or months, rather. You got to watch out for whether or not you go over SGA, your $1,310 a month, because then you're ineligible for the disability programs. So those are your two main financial things that you've got to watch out for. Remember, anything above $85 that you earn for the SSI purposes, they're going to, for every $2 you earn over that $85, they're going to take away $1 from your disability benefits. So if you're earning $2, then expect $1 to run away from your disability benefits for SSI.
Okay.
So, there's that aspect to this whole thing. Now, I saw another question on here, which might be directly linear with what you're asking me, which is, what happens if I try to earn consistently between $940 and $1,310? You will not lose your benefits. They will just, for SSI, reduce your benefits, and for SSDI, they'll continue to pay them. But what it will likely trigger after a continuous period of doing it is a CDR, which is a continuing disability review, where they're looking to see whether or not you're still disabled under their rules and regulations. So, yeah, just keep in mind.
I go monthly to my doctor. I keep up with my physical therapy because I have a lymphedema, and I have an osteoporosis now because all the treatments that I went through and stuff like that. So, but only the rent is $1,600. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's crazy. I mean, I get a little benefit for my son too, but it's not enough. With the price, they're like sky high. So I need to make a little bit extra, just to survive.
Yeah, I understand. So the bottom line is, remember too, you have other things to pay for than just yourself. The benefits are really only set up for the idea of paying for yourself. But the bottom line here is this, you should look into what's called a trial work, or rather a ticket to work program.
They already calling me and contact me, that they want me to get into the program of the trial to work.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, if you're starting to be able to go back to work and do all those things, they'll put you on a ticket to work program. The ticket to work program gives you 5 years to basically exit the disability program. That's the whole idea behind that, the CARE program. It's a good program, gives you a lot of time to go ahead and figure your stuff out. But the whole idea is to make a disabled person, even though they are severely impaired, capable of finding a niche-based job, creating a career within that job, and then basically getting off of disability benefits.
Okay. So technically, as long that I make less of what they consider like you going to trial to work, I should be okay, correct?
I mean, you will. They'll remove some of your money from your benefits. But remember, continuous work anywhere is going to trigger a CDR at some point. How old are you currently?
I'm 43.
Yeah, you're going to get probably like 3 or 4 more CDRs throughout your life, and that's going to help trigger them. But I mean, if you can prove that you still meet the severity requirements for disability benefits, then you should be okay.
And let's say that tomorrow they call me for a CDR, whatever, however, they call it. It's like a doctor knows everything from like a medical record, right?
Right, say it again.
I said they will request all the medical record.
Yeah, of course. They'll reach out to all of your doctors. You'll have to tell them where you've been, and then they'll go buy it with an 827.
Okay. Mr. Walter, it's very hard to be a single mother, and all
Yeah,
So
it is.
you know,
Yeah.
it's very it's hard. It's hard. So
Yeah, I
you know,
got you.
I have to make hands and meet whatever I can to support myself and to support that little teenager that I have that is already went through a lot.
Right. No, I hear you. I hear you. And I think that's one of the big things that a lot of people don't realize is that the traditional family structure of male and female supporting kids is not common anymore. It's actually less common than you would think. And as a result of that, you see a lot of individuals who are in a situation where they have to support not only themselves but other children with their disability benefits. You could look into if there's auxiliary child benefits available. Is the husband still alive? Is the birthing father still alive?
Yeah, he's still alive, but it's one of those situations that, you know, it's like a 4th of July fireworks. You know, once a year you will see in the sky and then disappear. You know.
Wow, that's rough.
Yeah.
That's rough.
That is very rough. That's why I have to start working. You know, a little bit because otherwise. Believe me, I cannot even pay the rent for what they pay me.
Yeah.
Because between me, my son, and I, we are getting not even $1,500, and only my rent is $1,650.
It's a tough situation. Honestly, and I know this is going to sound ridiculous, but YouTube tends to be pushing disabled people and their YouTube accounts right now. If you created the channel and you were talking on the channel and talking about things that you faced, the difficulties, the triumphs that you had, they'd probably push your channel, and give it more views. You might be able to get monetized. You might be able to make more money just by having a side gig like YouTube.
Yeah. Well, maybe I should have looked into that. But I took this little part-time job because it's the same hour of my kid, and I don't have to worry about it to leave my son somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to pay for childcare because childcare doesn't, it's expensive too. So he goes, I go. He's at home, I am home. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I hear you.
Into that.
Yeah, it's a tough situation. All right, let me think for a moment. Let's be creative here. We've got a father that's not interactive. He's there and then he's gone. We have somebody getting SSI benefits, which isn't enough to pay for one person, let alone a person and a child. What are the things that you could do? Well, you would need auxiliary benefits of income, but they're still going to reduce your overall SSI. So you're going to have to do some sort of job. So the first thing I would do is start working on a plan to go ahead and earn more and then use my 9 months of trial work period. Immediately at the end of those 9 months, have it set up so I can go into a trial work period. And that'll push me essentially into my latter 40s, into my early 50s. And then at that point, the kid should be, how old is the child?
11.
11. So that puts the kid basically 6 years down the line. We're looking at essentially 17. The kid could potentially get a job at that point. You go back to your original disability benefits. If you can't keep working at that rate or keep doing that career, that's essentially what you need.
And if you're trying to go work full time because you're a cancer patient, you are an ex-cancer patient, the insurance kick you out because nobody wants to insure you. Or you have to pay $10,000-$15,000 out of the deductible, because whatever way you're trying to take is always something.
So I would say this, and I got to pop to the next person, but you should go after the father for child support. You should go after that individual to see what you can get on a monthly basis, and then try to put every other plan on the table to go ahead and support things, because you basically have to earn more until the child reaches essentially that 17, 18-year period where the child can go and get a job, you know?
Yeah.
So,
But like I said, the only thing that I wanted to know is if I work this, and I work less than trial work, if that can potentially, take my disability away. That's all that I need to know.
yeah, so they can do a CDR at any point, which is the process of the 8-step sequential elements to go ahead and essentially remove your benefits. That's what they can do. They can do that at any point. Working consistently does tend to bring that on. But I think what you're really asking me is, what can I get away with working? Well, the truth is, at any point that you're working and doing consistent work, whether it's a small amount or a large amount, you're still going to be looking at a CDR at some point, whether it was triggered by the work or whether it was just triggered by a timeline. Because at your age, they're going to be doing a CDR at least every 7 years, maybe 3 years, maybe 2 years.
Because I remember that not even probably a month that I started working.
Mm-hmm.
They sent me some papers at home to fill it up and to return to them to see what I was doing, in that particular job, if I was able to, if I was able to perform that job.
I hear you. So here's the thing. I've got to keep calling people back to keep kind of,
Yeah.
But let me catch you later next week, but let me keep rolling through these phone calls because I did start early around 7:40, and I'm only going to be doing about an hour and a half to 2 hours. So let me get to the next person, but I'll keep rolling.
Thank you so much, Mr. Walter. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Have a wonderful day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, guys, so let me go to the next call real quick. Hold on. Let me see. All right, here's the next call. Remember, guys, you know how this works. We're going to call them, wait until they answer. And then at that point, Mary G, thank you so much. $10, Sweetie and Shout Out Treat Fund. I really appreciate that. And they especially appreciate it because their treats are expensive and they are spoiled and they eat too many per day. Hi, ma'am. This is Attorney Walter Knott. We are live on YouTube. Remember to use a fake name throughout this process. And also, we are going on speaker. Would you like me to answer a specific question or would you like me to go ahead and run hearing questions with you?
Yes, I have a certain question I'd like to know.
Sure.
Is when my husband got disabled, my children were young. And so that my daughter is disabled too, so she draws Social Security and regular SSI.
Mm-hmm.
How long will that happen to go on like that?
She's probably getting a combo of some sort of AUX and SSI benefits. When she gets older, she's going to be looking at essentially the potential of whether or not she can get disabled adult child benefits, which will be tapping into the father's benefits, stuff like that.
Yeah, she has that already.
Oh, so how old is she?
She's 28 years old.
There you
I
go.
draw a check off my husband for taking care of her also.
Right. Okay. So yeah, she's getting her DAC, disabled adult child benefits. She probably picked those up somewhere between 18 and 22-ish area. And
she was disabled as a child, though.
Yeah.
What I'm saying.
But they probably increased her check though. She probably was on AUX benefits as a kid, 0 to 16, and then she probably at that transitional 18 to 22 went on to DAC. Correct me if I'm wrong. She received more when she achieved 18 to 22 area, right?
Right.
Okay, cool. So the bottom line is, so how long is that going to last for her? Is that your question?
No, it's how long is that going to last for me to continue taking care of her? Because I draw off of my husband for taking care of her.
I would imagine.
That's what
I'm not really sure what the answer to that is because what you're really asking me is what's going to kick me off of it. And and I always try to be fair with the questions I get and try and rephrase them as to like, what's really, and I there are things that could probably get you kicked off of it. Criminal acts, because you're basically on there as somebody who's taking care of the daughter as some sort of payee, right?
Right.
Okay.
Exactly.
So there's criminal acts that you could be doing, maybe improper, handling of funds.
No, they send out papers every year. We fill them out, send receipts in for everything like that. So there's nothing going on like that. So I just wanted to know how long would that stay on there forever as long as I take care of her? Or
Well, yeah, that's the idea. I mean, at some point you're going to get too old to be able to take care of her, right? So, I mean, at that point
Right.
you might be looking at that. But yeah, as a payee, you know, you're getting a boost there.
Right.
And I mean, if she's disabled continuously, right? She still continues to meet the DAC requirements, the disabled adult child.
Right.
Yeah. Then you will remain as her payee, and it will continue so long as you don't do a criminal act, which would screw up your status and ability to be a payee. You know.
Okay. All right. Well, I was just wondering because, I mean, they never told me. They just said that you would draw off of her for taking care of her as long as she's disabled, which she's 28 years old and she was 14 when they started, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
yeah, she had AUX benefits. She went to DAC benefits. And I'm guessing you've been
Right.
her payee the whole time.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, as long as you don't, you know, misuse, abuse funds, yada yada. As long as you kind of just keep her on a right track, keep your accounting straight, and their accounting requirements aren't super strict. So I mean, it's as long as you do the basics, you should be okay.
Okay. That's what I wondered. So thank you very much for your time and helping me out. Thank you very much.
Absolutely,
Have a wonderful evening.
absolutely. I'll catch you a little bit later, and thank you so much.
All right. Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye bye. Okay, guys, let's go to the next one. And I'm probably going to do like maybe one more call, and then I'm going to go ahead. Because remember, I get tired while doing this because this is like machine gun, quick comments and questions and stuff like that. And it's a little bit tricky too because remember, I worked from 7:30 a.m. today all the way until now, other than one break for dinner. So, you know, it is, if you guys notice I have a lot of tiredness, that's because of the type of job I have. Okay, so let me see. I see a call right here. Let me go ahead and call this person. We might be doing this as the last call of the night, and then we can always catch up with more people next week. Let's see if we can get through. You guys know how this works. We call them, they pick up, and then I give them a little intro, and then we go on live. Let's see what we got. First ring. Here we go. Hi, this is Attorney Walter Knott. We are live on YouTube right now. Remember to use a fake name. Would you like me to answer a specific question? And we are going on speaker. Or would you like me to go ahead and run hearing questions with you?
Official question.
Okay, go for it.
Okay, my name is Dee. The reason I'm calling, okay, I've been on SSI for years because I have severe chronic back problems, which is I can't work. I became disabled at the age of 32 because of my back.
Mm-hmm.
So over the years, I got 2 knee replacements, and now I have heart problems and lung problems. But I get the regular medical assistance card. I don't get Medicare, and I was wondering how would I go about it. And I'll be 54.
So walk me through that again real quick. I heard you're in your 30s, you're on SSI. Give me the latter part
I was
again.
32 years old when I came disabled.
Okay, how old are you now?
I'm 53.
Okay, gotcha. So walk me through.
I was working, and I did nurse it, and I damaged my back.
Okay.
I have severe chronic back pain.
Cool.
Which is a herniated disc, disjointed, pinched nerve, sciatic.
Okay.
Then over the years, I had to get, I got 2 titanium knee replacements.
Oh.
And now they just detected heart problems and lung problems. But
Mm-hmm.
I only get the like medical assistance, and I don't get the Medicaid card. And I was wondering how I go about getting a Medicaid card because I can't get to a dentist or anything because of my insurance. I can go, but I have to switch my insurance. I don't want to switch my insurance.
So you're on
because
SSI.
I have to get all new doctors.
Right. Yeah. Well, you might have to either way. But you're on SSI. You're not getting Medicaid. Which state are you in?
I'm in Pennsylvania.
Okay. So I'd have to check. Let me check real quick to see if Pennsylvania automatically offers. Does Pennsylvania give SSI recipients Medicaid? Right. Because that's what we're talking about here.
Yeah, because I get the regular one, like from the medical assistance office. I guess you call it Medicare.
Yeah.
I don't get the other one.
No, if so, you're on SSI, not SSDI, correct?
I get the 794 plus the 2210. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. So you're on SSI, then you get a state supplemental. It adds money on top of the SSI payment, and then you also get what's called medical assistance, which is the format of Medicaid automatically in Pennsylvania. So you should be getting Medicaid automatically. Why are you not on Medicaid?
That's what I'm trying to find out. What options can I do or how I go about it? Because I only get the one from Geisinger. That's it. That's my health care. That's the only insurance I have.
But like I know other people get like it's like the red, white, and blue card Medicaid. I don't have that one.
You're not a Medicare person though. You're a Medicaid situation for SSI.
Yeah.
Contact your local SSA field office. Ask them what insurance program you're on. I mean, are you paying for insurance right now or no?
I pay for some medications. Yeah.
But are you like what insurance are you on right now? Are you on a private?
I have Geisner Family Plan.
Okay.
It's from the medical assistance office.
Okay, you might want to call the local field office and basically check with Medicare. You should be on, or rather Medicaid. You should be on Medicaid, and then be able to go ahead and choose doctors based on that there.
Okay.
So, you know what I mean? That's So yeah, that's what I would do. And I'm trying to type things while I talk. But the bottom line here is this: the whole thing is essentially that you would probably do better utilizing the Medicaid, even though you won't be able to keep all of your doctors. So long as you have a car, you could always drive to another one, you know?
Okay.
All right. Well, Madame,
okay, thank you.
Absolutely. You have a wonderful night, and I'll catch you a little bit later.
You too.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, guys, so I'm a little bit worn out tonight. I just wanted to do a quick thing real quick. Back in the day, I made a video about the new Social Security Commissioner that was coming in, and then I received a phone call from the National Academy of Social Insurance. And then basically the gentleman was really kind there, and he said essentially that this is how you pronounce her name. Florida couple, thank you, thank you. I really appreciate that. Thank you. Florida couple is a long-term individual who's been watching us for a really long time. She's donated a lot of money, and honestly, that money goes directly into these little doggies, and it's really incredible, and I really appreciate it. She's got doggies of her own, and that's really amazing. So this is really, really good. I want to tell you guys about the new Social Security Commissioner. I don't know a whole lot about her. I'm going to be making videos going forward, so you do understand and learn more, a little bit more about her. He told me specifically how to pronounce her name, and she was on the board of this specific nonprofit, a bipartisan nonprofit. But I'm going to try and pronounce it right now, Kilolo Kishikazi, and that basically is the name of the new Social Security Commissioner. And I know that we talked about the legality of essentially Commissioner Saul and what will happen next. But we'll have more videos coming out. It obviously takes me time to shoot them and edit them and put them up on top of doing all the law firm stuff and everything else that's going on. So just keep tuned. We'll keep catching up. I'm going to go ahead and catch up with you guys a little bit later. Florida couple, again, thank you so much for donating. Also for all the other people, including Lynn Wilson, who donated. I really, really appreciate it. Guys, keep doing what you can do to educate yourself on the system to get the most potential benefits you want. Keep pushing for the fourth stimulus. If you want UBI, keep pushing for it. If you want the fourth stimulus, keep pushing for it, and we'll go from there, okay? Have an absolutely wonderful day. I'll catch you guys a little bit later, and thanks so much. Bye-bye, guys. Bye-bye.